What's in the stars and the cards for you this week ahead? Stay tuned. We're going to dive into it. And we today are going to talk all about how to overcome anxiety and unleash positive energy. Welcome, welcome. Give me a quick hello when you pop on. Let me know that you can see me, hear me, and where you're watching from. I want to begin with the fact that, as I was preparing for today and I pull a card for the week ahead and I ask, what's the most important thing that you need to know? And the card that came up really got me thinking, and I went in search for some statistics. And the first thing that popped up was that there are over 40 million people in the US alone that are dealing with anxiety. This is a big number. A lot of us are waking up at 2, 3 in the morning. Our head is racing. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of murkiness as we look ahead. And, it makes for a rough ride. So that's why I love coming together every Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We join in community here to talk about the weekly energy weather, how to do your moon, because knowing where your moon is and where the moon is in the heavens today really helps you manage the unknowns, how to process stress, anxiety, how to create feelings of safety. That's what I love to share with you. I share particular sacred practices that can help for this week, and we are going to dive into that. Hello, Hannah. Glad you made it live. Hello from North Dakota, Julie. Glad you are here. So, as we are jumping into this, I do want to mention that the card for this week that came up when we're talking about managing uncertain waters, anxiety, overwhelm, the Six of Swords is a reminder of where we go, there we are. And when I pulled this card, it actually came out reversed. And the reversed card is one that is saying, okay, you're being directed towards calmer waters. You're leaving those troubled waters, but you're bringing the mindset with you, all of this thought, all of this chatter. So even though you're moving towards the calmer seas, things are getting better, it's important to take a moment to tune in and ask yourself what's going on between your ears. What are the thoughts that you were thinking? Reminding yourself that thoughts are built on your feelings and your beliefs. So if we want to shift mindset, we have to get to the root of the feelings behind the thought, of the beliefs that have been attached to it. And when we start to work from that position, then things start to shift. So if you've been feeling anxious, if you feel like your insides have just been vibrating and you don't know why, if it's been hard to focus, hard to finish things, or even if you have felt that tightness on your chest, that heaviness, you're not alone. There's a lot happening astrologically. There's a lot happening around the globe, a lot of uncertainty. And anxiety has a sneaky, sneaky way of building up, especially when we're holding on to things that need to be released. And that's what this card reminds us of. Are there old fears? Are there old beliefs, old responsibilities, old stories? What are you holding on to so tightly? Where are you resisting the change? That uncertainty can really throw us for a loop. So the first thing that I would invite you to do is to call on your friends in high places. Every day before my feet even hit the ground, I always say this prayer, and I share it with you. I share it often here, which is, may God go before me and show me the way. May angels watch and protect me throughout the day. It's a great way to start because you have free will, and the angels, God, universe, they're not going to step in and deny you that gift that you have. But sometimes, because we have a limited amount of knowledge, we're not omnipresent and all knowing, we can make choices and decisions that later on we're like, no. Like, have you ever been at a restaurant and ordered food and then you see something walk by you and at the next table over, you're like, I didn't know they had that option. If I did, I wouldn't have ordered this. And regret kicks in. But we were limited in what we were knowing. Maybe it was on a secret menu. The idea of basically saying, okay, God, please steer me in the right direction today as I'm on my journey and path. You know my heart and my dreams. If I'm making a misstep, point me, in the right direction, tap me on the shoulder, give me a nudge. Angels send a sign. Those are our inklings. That's our intuition. And I love, love, love to help you speak that language of intuition. Because this week, it's really not about pushing harder. It's not about beating yourself up about what could have been, should have been, would have been. It's about saying, okay, I'm here right now. What steps can I take to move forward? And we're going to look at the moon and what's happening in each sign that the moon is going through. I was going to say each phase, but the phase of the moon is one beautiful big phase as we build to the full moon a week from today. So let's talk about this. As we jump in, I do want to remind you this week, as you say that little prayer, to remind yourself to release the burdens, especially if not your emotions, not your stresses and worries. I had a client last week who said, oh my gosh, I woke up with this overwhelming anxiety. And I paused for a moment and I said, how much of this anxiety and stress and worry is actually mine? And I was so excited because that's one of the first things I teach in my Mastering Intuition program is imagine in front of you like a speedometer that goes from 0 to 100. And you simply ask yourself, how much of this anxiety belongs to me? Is it 5%? Is it 50? Is it 95? And you might be surprised that only a teeny tiny portion of that big emotional feeling actually belongs to you. So, what you can do is you can say, all right, whatever energy, emotions, feelings don't belong to me, please, angels, bring it back to the best place possible. Whether it's to the person's guardian angel, whether it's who knows where, you just trust that your angel knows where to bring that energy. And then you fill back up with beautiful golden light. And that's one of the best practices to start to adapt and adopt, I should say, because it strengthens your energetic field. It's just like going to the gym and working out your physical muscles. You're working out your energetic muscles. So this week, don't try to white knuckle it. Use your sacred practices and tools like the prayer, and like even that speedometer where you're just checking in, how much of this feeling and emotion is actually mine? And by the way, if we haven't met, my name is Irina Miller. I'm an astrologer, a spiritual life guide, what I call an energy alchemist. And it is my joy to share sacred practices and tools with you, the curious empathic seeker, helping you step into the life that you were born to live and helping you navigate uncertainty and overwhelm. So with that, let's talk about the overarching energy of this week. So, the overarching energy, we look at the phase of the moon, and the moon is growing in light, and we're working towards that full moon. It's a buildup phase. Energies are amplifying. Think of it like a balloon where you're like, oh no, is it going to pop? You might even feel an extra pressure this week to complete a project or hit a milestone. Maybe it's clearing out clutter. Whether it's an energetic, an emotional, or a physical feeling, I'm going to invite you to manage your energy this week. Notice when you're pushing too hard, or in those moments when you are feeling overwhelmed, to simply pause and to breathe. Because if resistance shows up, it's an invitation for you to really look at what has been blocking you or sabotaging your best efforts, or even holding you back. And sometimes that requires a little bit of extra courage. Another sacred practice that I love, if you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious and you're like, I just can't do it, I don't know how, I'm going to gather up the strength and the willpower and the courage to make that phone call, to look at the numbers, to sit down and actually get the work done. Step outside. And when you step outside, turn your back to the sun and feel the warmth of the sunshine against the back of your head, against the back of your neck, against the whole back of the body. And tune into the beautiful strength of the sun itself. It connects you with your third energy center, your solar plexus, that chakra there called Manipura. And when you connect with the sun's energy, you remind yourself of your gifts, your courage, your willpower. You can even take it one step farther and call on Archangel Michael, who is associated with the sun's energy, and say, Archangel Michael, please give me the courage today to address the things that I have been resisting. And you take a deep breath and you feel the sun warm your skin. And with Gratitude, we say, thank you, Archangel Michael, and we trust that we'll have everything we need in order to move ahead and to face those big blocks. Those are some of my favorite little practices. There's so much you can do because it's important to ask yourself this week, where have you been holding back out of fear? What is the old story that you've been dragging behind you like a bag of bricks? What are the beliefs and the feelings that are beneath the thoughts that keep going over and over on repeat? And can you trust that releasing control might be the safest next step? All right. So, big things to take note of this week before we dive into each day with the moon. Monday. Monday, we have a very long void of course moon. And what does that mean when the moon is void of course? Well, it's basically like the moon's not working and it's kind of out to lunch. It'll be back later on. So from 9:03 a.m. Eastern all the way to 3:39 p.m. Eastern, so adjust for your time zone. That's a big chunk of the workday. The moon is void of course. So if you had big projects to do, meetings that you're going to, tasks that you wanted to be accomplished, don't get frustrated if you feel like, wow, well, nothing came of that. That's the basic saying for a moon void of course. Nothing will come of it. So, this is a great time for resting, for meditating, for daydreaming. It's a great time to do the things that you might have had big resistance around out of fear of repercussion, like somebody was going to get angry with you, or maybe you were going to get a late fee, or maybe you were going to get in trouble. Attend to those things because nothing will come of it. So some people love to turn in their taxes on a moon void, of course, like they'll mail them out or they'll submit them. So, it'll be, oh, easy peasy, nothing will come of it. Everything's, up and above board. So when you are in a moon void, of course, it's a great time to tap into that courage and say, okay, I'm going to look at the things where maybe I was holding back out of fear of other people's judgment or feel of having fallen short of somebody's ideal or opinion. Take this time today to really focus in on those tasks. And if you're feeling antsy, if you're feeling restless, that's because most likely it can be because the moon, the last planet it spoke with before it went void, of course, was Uranus. And Uranus is a planet of restlessness, of electricity, of sometimes nervous energy. So if you have that nervous energy today on Monday, give it a direction, channel it into something. That could be going for a walk, it could be moving your body, but give that energy something to do so that it doesn't bounce around inside of you. The other big thing with Monday is that Mercury is sextile Jupiter. And all that means is that Mercury, the planet of thought and communication, speech, what it's doing is it's giving you an opportunity with Jupiter of expansion. So you might have a great moment for planning, for envisioning where am I going to go, a great way to communicate and share those ideas. So capture the thoughts that come through during this void of course moon. So maybe you're daydreaming, you go out for a walk to channel that restless energy, and you have moments of inspiration. Jot those moments or jot those thoughts down so that you can create a great map for your dreams as you're moving forward. Because another big piece to take into account is that Pluto went retrograde on Sunday again. And all that means is that you are being given an opportunity to really put plans in place for the next 19 to 20 year cycle. So when a planet goes retrograde, it says, okay, let's rethink things, let's review things, let's reassess before we actually cement this into the ground, concrete plans. Take a moment to review, are you going in the direction that you really want to go in? Now you might say, okay, well, Irina, that's a little bit vague. What are you talking about? Well, it's going to be specific for each person's chart. So if you were curious, like, how is this affecting me? Then, excuse me, going to clear. Because this Pluto is affecting me big time. Oh my gosh. I coughed to clear energy. Isn't that funny? But you want to take a look at your natal chart and you want to say, okay, do I have anything between like 0 and 3 degrees or 1 and 3 degrees? because Pluto is retrograding from 3 degrees Aquarius to 1 degree. And it's going to be doing this until October. And so if you have any planets at those degrees, they're going to be lit up. They're going to be affected. So if it's something like a square, it could be a challenge. It could be, a block that needs to be overcome. You're having an experience of friction so that you can really be propelled forward into beautiful new opportunities. Because if we're comfortable, it's like, why would I want to change something that's working really well for me? If it's an opposition, there's a call for balance. And I'm saying all of these astro geek words that might not make sense right now. But if you want to go into that deeper, then you can always schedule a session with me. I'll pop that here on the screen, but irinamiller.co/stars. And if you go there, we can do a one-on-one and we can look at exactly where this Pluto is retrograding for you. So for me, it's happening in a place that really is shifting the direction my calling is going in. It's saying, okay, are you on the right path? Are you doing the things that your spirit intended to achieve your calling? It can affect energy levels for me, inspiration, ideas. And knowing that, what I can do is I can manage my energy levels better because I have been very tired. I can check in with my heart and my spirit and make sure that my actions are in alignment with my spirit's goals in this lifetime, which is very much bringing spiritual practices to the world, creating peacefulness and calm. And knowing that makes it a little bit easier, because even today, as I looked at my chart, this weekend was definitely a tricky one. I don't know about for you guys, but let me know in the comments. I was feeling the anxiety off the charts. I was feeling massive resistance, and even so much where my body didn't want to move. And I was sitting there and I thought, I know the practices I need to do to shift this energy, but I'm resisting them. And in that moment, it's kind of like, you start to realize there are certain steps that need to be taken, even to get to the movement. And because I know my moon is in Cancer. So whenever you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and anxious, feed your moon, do your moon. What is your moon calling for? That's going to create the feeling of safety so that you can take the next steps. Because like I had a client, amazing student who went through my Mastering Intuition program. She's using all these practices. And at times she's like, I know what I should do, but I just don't do it. Why don't I do it? We're all like that. It happens to all of us, and myself included. And I go back to my moon. How am I feeling? Do I feel safe? Am I safe enough to take this next step? And over the weekend, I didn't feel safe. And so I did my moon. And for that, it meant cuddling on the couch with my fur babies. It meant feeling really, really safe, nestled and snuggled around the people that I love, giving myself a moment to tune into the inspiration, whether that was a book or a show that inspired feelings of safety. And once I was at that point and I could really feed my moon and make sure the root chakra and the second chakra felt safe enough to get out of that fight or flight mode, then I could do the other practices that I knew would also really help shift me out of anxiety. The thing that I love about gathering here is we can see these quick little fixes, quick little energy tips or intuitive practices. But sometimes it's a wonderful thing when you have a guide, a helper to bring you through the layers specifically, so that you're not like, well, the breathing exercise isn't working for me. I'm standing outside barefoot on the lawn. It's not working. I still feel anxious. What's going on? It is a nuance. It is very subjective type of practice. It's artistic. It takes practice and it takes knowing yourself. And the more that you get to know yourself, the easier the dance becomes. So don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up if some of these practices aren't working today for you. Okay, so with that being said, the last thing that I want to mention about this week ahead is that on Saturday, Mercury goes into Taurus, and it's going to move out of that Aries energy where maybe you've been having in the head and out the mouth moments where you're just blurting out what's on your mind. Mercury, when it goes into Taurus, is going to be more purposeful in its thinking. It's going to slow down, be a little bit more deliberate. And you just might notice that people around you become a little bit more thoughtful in how they're saying things. And they're not so fast to rush into exactly what's on their mind. Okay, let's talk about the week ahead with each moon and how you can make the most of it. So, Monday, Leo moon. Leo is about creativity. It is that creative divine spark within you that wants to bring a playfulness to the world. It is important that with a Leo moon, the way you engage with it is you avoid the drama. I giggle because, sometimes it's fun to kind of get caught up and spill the tea, what's happening, what's going on. But especially with the moon void, of course, and that Uranian influence of chaos and restlessness and maybe even nervousness, I would say channel some of that restless energy, if you have it, into creativity. Maybe you paint, maybe you listen to music, maybe you create something, maybe you just simply rest. But don't push yourself. Don't try to force yourself to focus. Use this as downtime, kind of like as much as you can during the workday. So you've got your to-do list. Don't beat yourself up if you're like, I'm not making forward progress. Think of it as more of that opportunity for brainstorming with the Mercury sextile Jupiter. And I'm going to just tune in and I'm going to ask what's most important that you need to know as you go into this Monday energy. And this card is really wanting to get our attention. So the Hierophant or Hierophant, tomato. The Hierophant card is all about finding your pathway to joy and knowing that the pathways converge. And the thing that I love about this card is the traditional, well, let's say the traditional one, the Rider-Waite is very stoic and very rigid and traditional. But here you've got someone who is relaxed and laughing, saying the approach to enlightenment, awareness is through laughter. It is through play. And the paths that we take, instead of having, that saying, many paths, they all lead to the same place. You've got all of the different paths up here in the heavens, all the different sacred practices represented. Actually, they're around his head. You have the wonderful Itzkis, I can never say that word, the little beautiful fish. You have the yoga symbol, the Om. You've got the pentagram. You've got the Triskelion. All these beautiful sacred practices up there in the heavens. So we are on a pathway. We're working towards a common goal. Do so with a lightheartedness. There might be certain traditions, structures, rituals that bring you calm and peace today. Lean on those practices to help you out. Okay, Tuesday. Tuesday is a Virgo moon. I love Virgo moons because any of the frustration you felt on Monday, like I'm just not making forward progress, I'm not getting things done, things will start to move on Tuesday. So write down that to-do list. Don't feel like you've got to get it all done, but write it down. You're coming up with your plan. You're going to take action. You're going to feel more motivated. And think of it as a day that as you're clearing physical clutter, it can also mirror internally to help you clear emotional clutter. It's amazing. Sometimes even just cleaning our space can help alleviate anxiety. Or if you're feeling really down and low, another trick is if you have things on the floor, put them up higher, like on a chair or a table. Just getting things up off the floor can also alleviate your spirits or lift your spirits. Okay, how to make the most of Tuesday's energy. Oh, no, that didn't want to come out. So when I shuffle, I just kind of see who wants to come out. 3 of Wands. So the choice has already been made. So when you get to that Virgo moon, you might write the to-do list and you might completely ignore it. This beautiful, wonderful gal, she's waiting for the right wave of opportunity to come in. She's made her choice. She's written her list. She's put things into motion, and she's not rushing the process. She is having patience. So on Tuesday, write the list. If you feel like you need to steer and veer away from the list that you've written, that's okay. Allow yourself that opportunity to take the wave of opportunity as it comes in rather than think you've got to just stick to that particular list. The list will be there. You can come back to it. Wednesday, the moon is still in Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is still in Aries on Wednesday. So you've got that fast mind. You might be able to really take advantage of that to feel sharp intellect, thinking about different things. Give yourself a moment to refine the list that you made on Tuesday. Maybe you realize, oh, some of these things I could delegate. Some of them I really don't have to worry about. It's not a big deal. I can put that off till next quarter or next year. Take that time to refine the list on Tuesday because you want to manage your energy this week. We're building towards that full moon. And as we're building to the full moon, sleep is definitely affected. A lot of times we can end up wired, but if we just keep going, then we become overtired, like where we can't sleep, but we're exhausted. Oh, look at that. It is that rebirth, that awakening. There's some realization that comes on Wednesday where it's like, okay, I am ready to transform. I see the light. I hear the calling. I know which direction I need to go in. So with the moon void, of course, on Monday and that contemplative time where you can kind of sit with things, wait for the visions to come. And when I say wait, it's really kind of more, we're not trying to force it. We ask our questions. We're like, okay, what inspiration is going to come to me? I'll go for a walk. I'll do painting. I don't know how many of you guys and gals watching ever took art in high school. That was my most favorite class because it was a meditation practice for me. I would just go into my artwork and everything would come out in the paintings. And I would be so surprised when I looked at it, how information and insights came through. It was a way to process all of the things happening. So use our creativity on Monday to help you process the emotions, the beliefs beneath the thoughts. And then by Wednesday, there's going to be some realization, some awakening. Okay, this is what I might need to shift to help me prepare for that next 20-year cycle with Pluto coming up, where Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, roughly 19. But as Pluto is going retrograde, it's saying, okay, do you like the path you're on? Like, let's just review this before I really go forward into Aquarius. And Hannah, you said it was a very fast week with many challenges. Oh, you always felt like something wasn't working, but then it showed itself from a completely different angle and somehow it worked. Oh, that's wonderful. Good on you for going with the flow and for trusting. That's not easy. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's been crazy. Oh man. Okay, so Thursday, Libra moon. So the Libra energy is about finding balance, about creating harmony, wanting to avoid conflict. Can't we all get along? Can't we all go along to get along? It really loves that peace, the Libra energy. So on Thursday, you might find that it's not a day where you want to have the hard conversations. Use Tuesday and Wednesday and even Monday with the moon void, of course. If there are hard conversations you need to have, do that at the beginning of the week. Because Libras, they like to avoid the challenging conversations. The conflict is hard for them. So how can you make the most of, I say that as a Libra. How can you make the most of the Thursday energy? Woo, one's popping out. Holy cannoli. Love it. Know that the new light, the new energy is coming in on the horizon. I wanted to say know when to walk away, but this is even like you already knew when to walk away. You've moved away from that energy. If you felt betrayed, if you felt overwhelmed, if you felt like you was stabbed in the back by that person, I just feel exhausted. I don't know if I can take a step farther. The worst has already happened. The light is coming in on the horizon. So all of those thoughts, the birds represent the mental mind chatter, the thoughts, they're starting to alleviate. The sun is coming up on the horizon and a new day is dawning. So with the Libra moon, give yourself a moment to really tune in and say, okay, now is a time for me to make the choices that help me move towards more ease, to step away from the feeling of just being so completely challenged and overwhelmed that I can't move forward. So look for that light, look for that hope on the horizon. And one of the sacred practices that I would invite you to do for Thursday is I would say, dear God, dear universe, please give me a definite lead. Which direction do I go in? Please give me a definite lead today that's easy for me to see and it's a sweet and gentle message. Friday, the moon is still in Libra. So harmony is the theme. And as we are building towards that full moon, and you might be feeling all that pressure. I don't know about you guys. I feel the pressure this week. I feel the intensity of it. And that could be very personal because Pluto is affecting me directly in my chart. And if you want to know if it's affecting you, then definitely reach out and we can schedule a time to talk. But this is a week where we're like, okay, there's a powerfulness to this. What direction am I meant to go in? And the Libra moon is inviting you to remember, don't chase after perfection. Think about creating healthy boundaries. Choose your heart rather than throwing yourself underneath the bus in order to just keep the peace and please other people. Okay, so Friday, how can you make the most of this energy? Six of Pentacles, so very Libran-like card. Six represents harmony, it represents Libra, and this is about giving and taking. It's about knowing those moments where you can help others and where you are being inspired to receive help. The Six of Swords card that came up at the very beginning for the overarching energy of the week is a reminder, where have you been resisting help? Are you resisting asking for it or receiving it? So Friday comes back to be willing to receive the help. Or if you have incredible blessings and gifts that you've been blessed with, then share them with others. But this is about creating harmony. It's kind of like that. I think of the Beatles song, in the end, it's not the love you take, it's the love you make. So Saturday, still a Libra moon. Libra moons also can focus in on relationships. So you might find with the Libra moon, especially with the weekend, maybe you want to be with people. Maybe you want to be a little social. Maybe there's a healing in a relationship that you want to come to. But remind yourself that it's important you listen to your heart and not always just do what everyone else wants to do to keep the peace. Okay, Saturday. How can you make the most of Saturday's energy? King of Swords. I think of this as a Libran-like card as well, because Libra is an air energy. And as much as Libra is people-pleasing at the time, because the goal is to create harmony and peace, and they can feel the emotions, they're an air sign. And the King of Swords is a reminder, it's important to tuck away the emotions every now and then to get an objective view of what's going on. Where am I headed? What is the goal? So this is a reminder that we're coming to the full moon, a culmination, celebration, a mile marker, a time to kind of check off, I've completed this part of the task or the whole project itself. And the King of Swords is thinking about the future. Where am I going? Now, with all those uncertainties, it's interesting how many of the crows are coming up with this reading with the birds, is that it represents thought, the mind. But in this card, he's using the crows like Hunyan and Munin, who were the beautiful seekers for Odin, Thor's father, to fly around the world and get the information. So even though he's not omnipresent, he's got little winged friends who go around and collect the details and the information. I remember, so for me, part of my pathway to the spiritual practice, and I've studied many, many different spiritual practices, initiated, certified, however I can go deep within them. And one of them was yoga. And in my early yoga days, especially in the 90s, you had to travel to be with your teachers. So we travel all over the country, all over the world, sitting at the feet of these incredible masters, learning from them. And then in my little beautiful yogi circle, I was the first to have a little one. And I would tote him along as much as I could. I'd be there, with him in the little sling doing the yoga and learning. And he was so great with it. But there got to be a point where I couldn't travel with him as much. And I was missing out on these incredible lectures, these incredible conferences, and I was sad. And I thought, how am I going to learn this stuff? And I said, okay, God, please bring this information to me somehow, some way. And it did always trickle through. And this was really before, before Chrome and before Google, you still somehow the information would make its way to me. The internet still in its very young years for all of us, the information would come. And I had to trust that even though I couldn't physically be there, the message would come. So I want to invite you with that energy on Saturday to kind of be like, okay, angels, okay, my wonderful guides who are out there, what do I need to know? Please bring it to my attention. Please help it cross my path so I can make the best decisions possible. Sunday is a Scorpio moon. And as we go into the Scorpio moon energy, we're preparing for the full moon on Monday. Scorpio energy is about a depth, an intensity, and even an intimacy, because Scorpios are here to learn how to build healthy, energetic boundaries. They feel very deeply and they connect on a very emotional and vulnerable level. They're not necessarily small chit chat, like small talk conversationalists. They're going to go into the deep, intense, heavy stuff. And you need to know that you're with a safe person to have that conversation. So with that Scorpio energy, it's a chance for you to really take a deep, honest look at, okay, what kind of thoughts am I bringing with me that have been sabotaging my best efforts? What are the feelings and the beliefs attached to them? Where can I start to make a shift in it so that I can live the life I was born to live? Okay, I'm going to take a moment and pull a card and ask, how can you make the most of this energy? 7 of Wands. You don't have to explain why you're choosing the things you are. If you feel like you've had to defend your choices, explain them to other people, she is sitting so strong in her core. Look, just like we opened with the solar plexus, see her beautiful tummy, that sun there? That's her third chakra. That's her standing in her courage, her identity. She knows who she is. She doesn't need validation from the outside. She doesn't need confirmation. She doesn't need to defend her choices. She knows, and she's strong in that. People can poke at her, they can prod, but she sits strong, not to be swayed. So on Sunday, create those healthy, energetic boundaries so you can do the deeper healing work. And wonderful practice for that is a root flush fill. Oops, somehow I got that back up on the screen. I missed that. Okay, let me put up the root flush fill. This is a free gift that I love to share at renamiller.co/get calm. And when you go to that link, you can access the wonderful 2-minute guided meditation to help you ground, to help you come into a place where you have a strong, healthy, energetic boundary to do the deep healing work that is necessary. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for walking this path and bringing more light, more love, more hope to this world. Take it easy on yourself. Remember to trust your vibes, follow your heart, and I'll see you here all next week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Please do share this with a friend. It helps out so much. And I look forward to next week. Bye, guys.